Hey, political scientists and computer experts, it's your boy here, Thor Hansen, and welcome back to another political science video. Today we are doing something that was requested on Quora. We are taking the Prism political quiz today. The Prism political quiz attempts to provide you with a breakdown of your ideology in 6 different dimensions: government, economy, society, religion, security, and foreign policy. Unlike many other quizzes, rather than giving you the agreed disagree questions, it gives you a number of statements and asks you to pick the one that best represents your views. This ideally gives a better chance to show your reasoning for a particular view that allows differentiating someone who opposes democracy because they believe in a monarchy from someone who disagrees with it because they believe in anarchy, for example. Additionally, each question has an option for apathy or disagreeing with everything to allow it to even capture the beliefs of people who believe very unique ideologies. Oh, by the way, I'm doing this live, and you're going to hear me hemming and hawing a little bit more than usual, and I might go silent for a little bit while I'm thinking about a question, because these questions are a little bit complicated. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that that's going to be the case. So if you hear me just being silent for a little bit, that's the reason why. And I'm just thinking about these questions since there's a lot of different answers for them. So, yeah. With that being said, let's get started. Reproductive incentives. Okay, there's 51 questions on this test. The Earth has a limit to the population it can support, and while we should not have strict controls, we should incentivize people to limit the number of children they have. Population in check. Those genes published will hurt the poor. Should incentivize more children by having tax incentives. Population incentives. Oh. Has a limit to a population it can support. Well, we should not have strict controls. It shouldn't incentivize people to limit the number of children they have. I can disagree with that. Yeah, I can agree with that. Outsourcing. We should have national manufacturing subsidies, subsidized by taxes to keep prices competitive with outsourced jobs. Buyers can decide for themselves which are better. The government should own most industry, but it should allow competition between them so that there is not just one choice. Since they are government owned, we can ensure that it is all domestically produced. The government should nationalize all manufacturing in the nation and should not outsource jobs. Ooh, both of these sound good. The government should nationalize all manufacturing in the nation. It should not outsource jobs. We should remove the minimum wage here. The cost of producing here will be lowered and producing abroad and shipping here. We should impose heavy fees on goods produced in other countries with worse labor rights than us to ensure companies can produce everything here for fair competition. We should regulate companies to only provide subsidies and government purchases to businesses that perform key manufacturing within the nation. I like the nationalization one. Drugs. We can use drugs to ensure people are incapable of causing trouble. We can mandate them to only provide them to people act in accordance with how the state requires. What you put in your body is your own business. We should legalize drugs so that they don't go in the black market. Drugs are dangerous for society and tear families apart. We should educate our children. Dangerous drugs are made harmful ones, but ones like marijuana should be legal for recreational use. I think you should be able to decide if you want to do drugs or not. Honestly, it's a victimless crime. Regional union like Parliament, like the EU. The freedom of our people is my first priority, and the regulations from this union can restrict the freedom of my country. I'm opposed to being a part of it. Being a part of this region gives much greater say to international affairs, significant benefits, and allows diplomatic options. Prostitution. We should have regulated prostitution and sex work because the alternative is black market, for which is much worse. People should be free to do whatever they want with their own bodies. If they want to sell themselves for sex, that's their own choice. Prostitution takes advantage of the poor by making them sell themselves off to rich people just to pay the bills. It should be illegal to buy. Unapproved sex should be permitted as it may result in children with less ideal characteristics. I think prostitution should be legalized. Right to secession. We should have provinces in a unitary state, so there should not be anywhere clearly defined to be able to secede. Provinces should have the right to secede. It should be possible for one to organize a referendum to secede if it passes with overwhelming support. I agree with that. Consumer goods protection. The government should produce consumer goods to ensure an affordable price. However, a free market should be able to compete with it. The nation should guarantee consumer goods Anyone should be able to start a government-backed company and produce competing consumer goods. The government should regulate consumer goods to ensure safety and compliance with standards, but not produce them. The government should not be government-owned industry should manufacture all consumer goods for the population. Yes, nationalize that shit. Taxation of religious buildings. Religious buildings should receive state funding to ensure they stay open. No. The state should exempt all religious buildings from taxation. No. Religious buildings should be taxed, as the state should not be giving religious special privileges over the businesses. Religious buildings should be banned. I completely disagree with every part of this question. Religious buildings should be banned. International currency. I'm opposed to sharing currency with other nations. We need to be able to make decisions about our own currency. Our historical is part of national identity. I support using a shared currency with neighboring nations. It allows people and theirs to easily travel between each other and eases transactions across the shared currency zone. Yes. Immigration. We can accept immigrants, but they should be expected to learn language and culture and do their best to integrate with other people in their way of life. We must ensure that there is a need for immigrants to let in. Immigrants would cause breaking laws. We should accept and encourage talented, educated immigrants to move here. We can provide them best in our country. We can accept immigrants, but they should be expected to learn our language and culture and do their best to integrate with our people and way of life. People should produce as they can and consume what they need, but the concept of money should not exist. It should be minimum wage. There should be a moderate living wage that won't put small businesses out of business, as well as tax on large companies with many workers below the poverty line to pay for any welfare their employees receive, and ensure small businesses are competitive. The workers should have minimum wage to prevent a race to the bottom, but executives. There should be a moderate living wage that won't put small businesses out of business. All companies should be required to split profits fairly throughout their employees. Anyone in charge of the company should not be allowed to be paid significantly more than those at the bottom of the company. I think this is the one that I agree with the most. Anyone in charge of a company should not be allowed to be paid significantly more than those at the bottom of the company. And companies should be required to split their profits fairly through their employees. Prayer in school. No. Most schools should have daily prayer. I completely disagree with every part of all these philosophies. Minority groups making language official are spoken a lot. This will cause them to burn to those industries. People who do not speak our language should be deported. It is important for our nation to have a single national language. These people should be expected to learn and understand the national language. Yes. Religious statements on national memorials. There is nothing wrong with mentioning God on our memorials. No, our national memorials should not mention God or religion and serve only to honor the fallen. Representatives. I do not want representation. I want to be able to directly vote on most issues as referenda. That is a good one. I want a leader who will represent the popular opinion in the area and serve a personally degree. I want a representative who will bring stability and strength to the lifelong rule. I want leaders who are experts in various fields and can use their knowledge to create well-informed policies. I think this, as much as I like to be able to vote directly on issues, I feel that people are too stupid to be able to correctly vote. And if we're still going to have representatives, I feel like that they need to be the most best and brightest people that will represent people the best. I want a representative who I can bribe to get my legislative agenda prioritized. I want leaders who served in the military. I want leaders who are experts in various fields and can use their knowledge to create well-informed policies. This is how I feel about voting. I have said this in the past, and I will say it again. I do not think that the general populace should be able to vote. I think that only those who have at least a bachelor's degree should be able to vote, and they should be tested on their literacy level. This would limit the voting population down to 37.7% of the adult population, and I see this as completely fair because you would never trust a person who has never sailed a day in their life to be the captain of a seafaring ship. Voting is no different, and I see that this would be a good decision. College should, however, be provided free of charge, fully funded by our taxes, so that nobody has an excuse not to go to college. But I want leaders who are experts in various fields that can use the knowledge to create well-informed policies. Refugees are not a problem. They should not be allowed to enter our nation. As people, if they can make it to our country, it should not be non-mandatory. Refugees are not our problem. most important espionage agency task. We should use our foreign agency to espionage agency to attempt to infiltrate enemies abroad and overthrow leaders who oppose us when possible. We should not have a foreign espionage policy. Districts. Our population does not need to be represented so much as all parties with who the policy will need a specified representative to analyze the issue from that perspective. Representatives are interfering with democracy. Rather than representation, we should vote on all important issues nationally. I agree with this. Death penalty. Those who defy the state should be executed to ensure those who remain obey. Death penalty is an easy escape for especially heinous crimes. It should be banned. There should be no prisons as such. If someone has committed an act where it is unsafe to allow them to go freely, they should be executed. Yes. Death penalty should be an option to reduce crime by serving as a deterrent. I like both of these. Someone has committed a crime where it is unsafe to allow them to go freely, they should be executed. Healthcare. Ooh, okay, I have a lot to say about this one. I support private insurance and healthcare providers, but ensuring the prices are competitive relative to the cost to produce them and prosecuting any cases of price fixing? No. Healthcare service should be private? No. But I want to ensure that the government provides a single payer system to ensure that nobody needs to worry about being able to afford healthcare. I believe that not just having one, but many government-owned healthcare options. Both healthcare and treatment should be directly provided and guaranteed by all citizens to the nation. I do not want to ban private healthcare or insurance, but I want a public option that will provide. I want a public option that will provide a fair rate. Allowing healthcare providers to set their own prices freely lets them to fund additional research. Healthcare should be left to the free market. Both healthcare treatment should be directly provided and guaranteed to all citizens by the state. Abortion. I think that abortion should be legal in all cases. Utilities. The government should subsidize utility companies. Utilities should be owned by the state. You should have net utilities should be owned directly by the state. Whistleblowers. Anyone leaking state secrets must be punished. The people the state trusts to handle its secrets should not have the authority to determine whether the state is right or wrong. There should be no classified information. Flag burning. The flag is a symbol of our nation. To destroy the flag is a hostile act against the nation. It should be illegal. Elections. A vote is a vote. All votes should be counted the same. Every person must have a vote, but it should be weighted geographically for at least one chamber of legislation. Oh, I've already said what I think about this. Only people who have a college degree should be able to vote. People put more money into government to deserve to get more out of their vote. There shouldn't be a government to even vote people on. Voting is a really unnecessary process, which the ones in the masses are irrelevant. The vote of an educated person should be worth more than the vote of a fool. I can agree with that. The vote of an educated person should be worth more than the vote of a fool. I completely disagree with all these questions. Climate change. Global warming doesn't actually exist. That is bullshit. The population should be expected to minimize their own waste and ensure that as many resources as possible remain for the state to be used to support their family. We must act to prevent climate change, and everyone must do their part. We should provide incentives for individuals to go green and regulate companies to meet environmental standards. People should not be mandated to do anything to fight climate change. Corporations and the rich are the biggest contributors to climate change. We should direct most of our regulations at them to ensure that people are not wasting energy powering a giant mansion they don't need. Corporations and the rich are ultimately the ones who are contributing the most to climate change, and we should be regulating them. Highways, which should be privatized. Local governments should build and maintain highways. We should have many highways be public, but allow private highways to be built. Highways should be operated by the national government. This ensures we can guarantee road quality nationwide that is free for everyone, and we should employ a lot of people to work on it, doing top priority. Power for policy setting. The executive of the nation should hold the majority decision-making power and generally be the one to create policy. Power should be shared between the national and local governments, roughly. Policy setting should lie within the executive branch, but the appointed cabinet and bureaucracy who can specialize their knowledge more than the executive. Elected national legislative branch should be the ones that set policy. Power to set policy should lie largely at provincial and limited level. Military should hold the power to be able to set policy. Power should lie with the people directly who initiate legislation through citizen-initiated ballot measures. The wealthiest individuals should hold power, as they generally are most capable and contribute the most to the nation. Agreement between allies to prevent border checks between them. I support this not just our allies, but all nations. People should be free to enter any nation. The most important trait in a political leader: we should make our own decisions. We don't need leaders above us. The most important quality of a leader is experience. The most important quality is political courage. The most important quality of a leader is power. The most important quality in a leader is intelligence. We need someone who can understand the problems and find solutions to them. Deaths caused by police. There should be no police force, and people should determine using justice in their own means. When a police death occurs, there should be an investigation. Police should be legally allowed to kill someone if someone perceive resistance. Most police should not be armed with lethal weapons. Police work dangerous, high-stress jobs and should be generally a protection. It should be representative of the communities they serve and should be trained with de-escalation. It should be charged when they kill a member of the community who they're supposed to protect. Private schools. There should not be public schools. The state should have no obligation to provide education to those who cannot afford it. That is bullshit. The state should own all schools, and this makes it easier to ensure all students have the equal opportunity to succeed. It should be a mixture of public and private education. All schools should be public schools. However, parents should be able to choose which school they attend rather than having it chosen automatically based on location. Schools should be private, but the government should provide vouchers to the poor and ensure that the child is able to afford school. All schools should be public schools. Military action should be used. The state of other nations should not concern us. Any military we attain should be for self-defense only. The role of people in policy. The population generally knows what they want, but cannot be expected to have the time to research on every vote. The population, other people's opinions should not have effect on what we are allowed to do. The wealthy should tend to know what they want and have good opinions. People must be given a say in government, but to try to avoid tyranny. The general population has bad opinions of the government, we would be better off without their opinions. Yes. Civilians should not be permitted to own a gun. Gun ownership. Civilians should not be permitted to own a gun. It endangers law enforcement officers and makes crime difficult to stop. Election reform. We should improve our election security through being more strict ID laws and searching for cases of double voting. Elections should be canceled and the law should not be decided by popular opinion. We should reform elections by making it illegal to sell your vote. We should reform elections by expanding ballot access. We should be making elections secure using internet technologies. Okay, bank crashing that will damage the economy. We should break up big banks before they get a situation where a crash like this can occur. I think the banks should be nationalized, honestly. We should build up the bank. We should purchase the bank and run it as we should purchase this bank and run it as a national bank. Other banks can compete with us, but we guarantee we won't go bankrupt. Artificial intelligence. We should fully embrace AI. Soon it should be able to make decisions far more objectively and efficiently than humans can. Artificial intelligence risks displacing living people working from their lifestyles and livelihoods. Free speech. You should have the freedom of speech to say anything. It's not illegal until you actually take an illegal action based on speech. We should ban and penalize very offensive languages such as slurs. Speech should be free, but you should not be guaranteed protection from backlash, including being removed from platforms if your opinions are unwelcome there. You should not have a freedom of speech. The state should decide what is acceptable to say. Yes. Speech should generally be free. United Nations resolutions, 6 main bodies. Our country should look out for our own people, not the people of the world. We should not be part of the UN. We should follow UN resolutions. I support having a United Nations or a similar organization to replace governments such as our own to unify the world into a single country. Our nation's laws should not be decided by their nations. Religious holidays. Those popular regions should be national holidays for everyone, so that everyone can have off around them. I agree with that. Foreign aid. We should not be spending our taxpayers' hard-earned money on other nations. Universal basic income. Guaranteeing income is a dangerous idea as it decentralizes working. It will hurt the economy. Rather than starting taxation at 0%, there should be a threshold. There should be a threshold, and those below the threshold are paid. People should be guaranteed their needs. As such, income such as universal basic income should not exist. I support a universal basic income. The poor should not have to prove their status of being poor and have the government manage how they spend welfare for them. I support a universal wage. a bit lower than the average wage for the most basic of income. Universal basic wage consisting of the profits from government-run companies to distribute these successes to minimal risk for the less successful government-run companies. I support a universal basic income paid by large companies outsourcing and automating jobs as much as the difference the cost allows small businesses to remain competitive. Internet service providers, we should nationalize it. We should regulate the internet service providers, ensure that they have nationwide coverage. High-speed internet service providers must be nationalized. We should use genetic modification should be used as a good, such as eradicating diseases and correcting genetic defects, but should be left mostly to the traits of genetics. Creationism in schools. Creationism should be banned. The state must not take sides. The church does not belong in public schools. Private schools may teach creationism if they wish, but public schools should only teach scientific theories such as evolution. Schools should be required to teach evolution and evolution alone. Yes. Schools should be required to teach evolution and evolution alone. That is science and facts, and pretending it does not is disservice to our children. The universe was created by a higher power, which we must teach in our schools, and evolution should only be mentioned when demonstrating how it is wrong. Concentration of power. We should distribute power by region of the nation. Power must be decentralized. Only those that serve in the military and potentially risk their life to the nation could fully be trusted with our nation's interests. We need a single leader above all who can serve for the life. Nobody should have the power to make laws. Policy should not be set by politicians, but by experts in each field who are actually able to understand the issues. Policy should not be set by politicians, but by experts in each field. Surveillance. The government shouldn't be allowed to look at most communications. The government should be able to access communications of anyone. This should be used to discourage people from. Yes. National debt. Having national debt is not a bad thing. We should not cut spending programs to pay it off, though we should have a plan before adding to it. The government controls the currency. We can print more money when we need more money. Legislative prices are to state to keep inflation from becoming a problem. We should take on debt both to improve the economy and invest in our populations. That would pay it back in the long run. The government should not have debt because it should not be spending. We should cut all spending programs and pay off the debt as quickly as possible. We should be mindful of the debt and pay it off when possible. When the economy takes a downturn, we should spend to help it survive, but we should cut government spending and pay back debt when it picks back up. Religious Baker refuses to make gay marriage kick. People should be mandated to do anything. He should only be able to deny his services to anyone. He should be able to deny his services to anyone for any reason. They can get one elsewhere. They can get one elsewhere. Leader selection. Leaders should be chosen by individuals with the largest stake in the nation, similar to how a corporation might choose a CEO. Leaders should be chosen but not directly through popular vote. It should be weighted to ensure. Leaders should be hereditary. Leaders should be appointed by the previous leader. We should not have a single designated leader to be chosen. Leaders should be chosen democratically by the nation they will lead. Leaders should be chosen through military experience. I think that only the most intelligent should be able to vote. Leaders should be chosen, but not directly through popular vote. It should be weighted to ensure that the votes of all provinces count rather than just the biggest ones. Leaders should be appointed by the previous leader. This is a hard one. Leaders should be chosen democratically by the nation they will lead. Government. All right, let's see how I did. Government, 76.9% technocracy. This quiz uses technocracy to refer to a system where the government is run by experts. They believe people in power should be given through merit rather than popularity, and they tend to support giving educated people more power in government, either through the appointments of them or giving them more weighted in votes. And 23.1% direct democracy. Economy, 85.7% socialism. This quiz uses socialism to refer to the belief that the state should be controlled. The state should control the economy in many industries. They believe in the private industry should be banned or limited to individuals that are harder to put on direct value on. They believe that workers should receive the value of their labor with minimal amounts given to management. And 14.3% market socialism, 100% freedom. This quiz uses freedom to mean the belief that the rights of the individual to do what they want without regulation or censorship by the state. This especially refers to the ability to have control over the individual's body and mind, as well as the freedom to use advances in technology to their full extent. 50% anti-theist. Anti-theist, according to this quiz, believes that religion in the nation should be completely banned. They believe that that religion should not have a place in the nation and will enforce state atheism on all citizens of the nation through bans on all religious activities. 25% secular. This is secular to refer to the complete separation of church and state, but a complete lack of interference with private religion. Theocratic, that can't be right. They believe I should be 100% anti-theist. I think we need state-sponsored atheism, and all schools should be required to teach evolution, and religion should be banned. Security, decentralized. Those who believe in decentralized security believe that the government should not be guaranteeing security, instead believe that people should take their own security into their own hands. They usually believe strongly in guns and oppose prisons and police. A believer in state security, according to this quiz, believes that privacy is unimportant to the comparison of the guarantees of security, and usually supports consistent surveillance or removing any threat of uprising. They believe that population should follow the law through any means necessary. Foreign policy, national populist, assimilationist, and sovereigntist. Okay. Well, there you go. That's what I think. Assimilationist, this quiz uses assimilationists to believe that someone who believes in immigration, where the immigrants adapt to the nation's culture, tend to support international deals that do not disrupt the nation's traditions, but will not support deals that could risk giving up the parts of what is traditionally make the nation what it is. I'm pretty divided on foreign policy. Yeah. So, well, I hope this give you a little bit more insight about my values. I am a technocrat. I believe that only the most intelligent people should hold power in our government. I think that that we should have a little bit of direct democracy, but ultimately our government should hold the power with experienced, intelligent people, and only those who have a college degree should be able to vote. I am a socialist, and I think that many industries should be either nationalized or controlled. Private industries should be banned or severely limited, and workers should receive the value of their labor with minimal amounts given to management, and the rest should be controlled under market socialism. Specifically, anyone should be able to start a government-owned business to allow choices for consumers while still guaranteeing workers the value of their labor. All right. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Thor Hansen Does Political Science. I'm going to keep doing these quizzes because I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from these on Quora, and I will see you guys next time in the next political science video. Peace out.